Coming up next on Tech News Today, China tightens its cybersecurity laws, which could make doing business there very difficult for some big companies that we talk about all the time. Also, USB condoms are a thing, but are they necessary? CNet's Tim Stevens discusses how Android Auto is available to everyone, even if you don't have a supported head unit. A few things that you may have missed. Some pretty interesting things, care of Engadget's Kerry Davis, and a talking fish that might make you more productive. You never know. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1636, recorded Monday, November 7th, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you fresh, high-quality ingredients to cook delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit.
And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT.
And by LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com. Develop talent and keep skills current with expert-led on-demand e-learning. To request a demo for your organization or get a free individual trial, visit learning.linkedin.com/twit.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk about all the technology stuff that you need to know.
Stuff.
I am Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell. I've got a Google Home hanging out on my desk waiting for me. It's in the box. I mean, it's in the box that's inside the box that it shipped in. That's how untouched it is.
I know, and I have a confession to make. I've been chatting with it all day.
You've been poisoning my Google Home.
Yes. Yeah, well, you weren't here. You were working at home. So I just decided to, get to know it first.
Oh, how is it? How's it doing?
I think you're going to really love it.
All right, cool. Well, I will check it out after the show and see what kind of secrets you've told Google Home. But until then, we've got some news to talk about. A total of 40,000 bank accounts held with Tesco Bank in the UK were targeted over the weekend by a, quote, systematic, sophisticated attack, according to CEO Benny Higgins, that saw money withdrawn from 20,000 customer accounts. On Sunday, Tesco put a hold on all related accounts, temporarily limited any form of online payments using those accounts. Higgins insisted that Tesco's customers wouldn't be accountable for the financial loss and that money would be compensated by Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Tesco says it knows exactly how the breach happened, but isn't willing to share more than that as it's under a criminal investigation. The scale of the theft and targeting of the bank's central system would make this one of the largest attacks of its type on a UK bank. Big deal when it's like your bank account. I mean, credit card fraud, all fraud sucks and all fraud is inconvenient. But credit card fraud, like it's a credit card, it's not necessarily this cash that you have waiting there that, maybe that's how you buy the lunch for your kids for tomorrow or whatever the case may be. This is literally draining the accounts dry. And they didn't necessarily compensate in most of the cases because it was so much. And so, I don't know, in many cases, that just leaves them high and dry.
But they say they will repay.
They will repay.
And there's no reason to panic. I think now you can use chip and PIN payments. Existing bill payments will continue. You can use cards for cash withdrawals, provided you still have some cash. They haven't taken it all yet. They don't know yet. They haven't said whether it's a hack. It could have been a vulnerability.
It's like they're refusing to call it a hack at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it could be an inside job, right? So they wouldn't want to. They want to figure that out. I mean, Graham Cluey, he's a security expert that I follow. He says the attack size suggests that it is some kind of serious security vulnerability in Tesco's online system. Yeah,
I mean, it's a wide-scale attack, if you want to call it that. I guess we'll find out more about that soon. But the fact that it all happened within like a 24-hour period, it affected so many customer accounts, kind of shows that not all of these things happen because somebody clicked the wrong link in a phishing email. This is a pretty big deal and has a lot of implications for just regular people and their accounts. But they're going to get all that money back, obviously, which is good.
Yeah. And this is also, speaking of phishing emails, this is also the time where all the rest of the cyber criminals step in and, send the phishing email saying like, oh, were you part of the Tesco, hack
point.
here, click on this link and we'll get you your money. Because people are just so frustrated and they're just like, I'll do anything. Where's my money? So be careful now. I've seen Mr. Robot. Ugh, scary.
Life is like Mr. Robot, I know.
Exactly. Or Westworld, one of the two.
I haven't seen that yet.
China just passed a new cybersecurity law that strengthens censorship and makes it even more difficult for internet companies to operate there. Chinese officials say the law was necessary to stop growing hacking and terrorism threats and that it will take effect in June 2017. Human rights groups and businesses are criticizing this law, saying it's restrictive and draconian. Many of the requirements of the new laws will not be new to Chinese citizens, but they've largely been informal up to this point, and the new law makes them more official and more enforceable. Among the many rules outlined, internet service providers will now be required to collect personal information and prevent data collected in China from leaving the country. So this is not good news. It's just centralizes state control over information. I'm not an expert in the politics of China, but I know that this, from a business perspective, could really shut out companies, a lot of the companies we talk about all the time.
Yeah, a lot of the companies that we talk about, and many of those companies that have been working really hard to kind of strengthen their position inside China, which is just an insanely huge market. IM and other internet services, like you say, there has to be full transparency of the users. There's a real names policy that would be in effect according to these rules. Data localization, that's going to require critical information infrastructure operators to store data inside Chinese borders, and I imagine that then in turn allows authorities within the country to investigate that information if they so need to. Also censoring prohibited content, air quotes on prohibited, like kind of content that encourages overthrowing a socialist system. Just basically an extension of the whole censorship on the internet thing, and that's going to make it really challenging for a lot of these services that have free-form discussion back and forth. That real names policy goes counter to a lot of the policies, that a lot of these internet services we talk about all the time institute to protect its users, and now they won't be able to do business in there potentially.
Yeah, and when you think about, just the Apple case, for example, when the government was trying to force Apple to turn over that information from the San Bernardino terrorists' iPhone, you think about like, what's the big deal? But then you look at this, this is just basically China saying companies have to provide technical support to government agencies during investigations. Like, it's just flat out that this is what you have to do. And so you think, okay, well, that's, that could be our future. This is the slippery slope that we're talking about when we fight against government forcing Apple to turn over those iPhones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that direct comparison could, come into play here as far as like encrypted communication, having some sort of a backdoor into those services. Are, services like Google and Apple and Facebook, are they willing for the trade-off of that market? Are they willing to be okay with this type of access? I think it'll be very interesting to see kind of what the effect of this is and how these rules are interpreted. Because in some cases, there's no clear indication of what the actual definition covers specifically. It's it's just a little bit more broad. So it'll be very interesting to see how that's defined from all of these companies and see if they choose to stay there. Back in 2014, Facebook acquired WhatsApp and insisted that the privacy of users would be protected by not sharing data between those two services. Then this September, we talked about on the show, Facebook reneged on that promise with a new privacy policy that allows for that sharing to take place. The Information Commissioner's Office, that's UK's privacy watchdog, isn't satisfied with that arrangement, and Facebook has agreed to put that data sharing on hold in the country. In question is whether Facebook obtained proper consent from its users before implementing this. The ICO is hoping to get Facebook and WhatsApp to sign their commitment to ensuring customers understand how their data is being used and to give them control over that information. But as of yet, neither company has committed to doing so.
Yeah, I guess the EU want Facebook to explain the change. They're not necessarily saying like, oh, you can't do this. They're saying like, just explain it to people.
Yeah,
don't give them 30 days. People should have control of their information, and even if they're using a free service. That's the thing we say in the U.S. all the time. Well, like Facebook should be able to do whatever they want with our information because we get to have Facebook and see people's cat videos whenever we want to, but. I think in Europe things are different. They see privacy differently. More, they're more protective of their privacy in a lot of ways than we are here in the United States. So, but I mean, Jan Koum, who's the CEO of WhatsApp, he said, all their messages and calls have end-to-end encryption. Like, we don't even know the gender of these people. So I don't know exactly what it is, but I am all for giving people more control over how their information is shared.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess on the flip side, could lead to fines, although in the scope of the companies that you're talking here, I'm sure the fines probably aren't going to be that large, at least not yet. But there's a new EU data protection law that's going to come into effect in 2018, apparently, that would make fines up to 4% of global turnover. So, the guess is that once that happens, maybe that would be a little bit more pressure, a little bit more, pushing in that direction. Also, they're kind of focused on making sure that Irish authority kind of gets into play here, because Facebook's European headquarters is in Ireland. So they think, if they kind of get the Irish authorities kind of on the same line, that could have some good sway over this decision.
Well, courts reports that people are going crazy over so-called USB condoms that allows you to protect your device when you plug it into an unknown USB port.
Be careful out there.
Now, these USB condoms have been around for a while, but there was a tweet over the weekend from technology lawyer Neil Brown. It received 6,000 retweets, and so they've increased in popularity. Even sci-fi writer William Gibson tweeted about them. Officially, they're called data block USB chargers, although USB condoms is much more fun to say. It's a product from SyncStop. It cuts off the data pins and only lets the power through. And by all accounts, they appear to be legit. I had never heard of the USB condom. Had you?
I've not heard of this particular device, but I've heard of the kind of idea behind it. And I've definitely found myself in the reverse scenario where I need to find a USB cable so that I can transfer data between my computer, and all I can find are like power charging only cables, and it won't connect. I'm frustrated out of my mind. What I should have done is labeled those power only, threw it in my backpack, and then when I'm traveling, only use that when I need to charge up. I think it's a great idea if that's the kind of thing you need in order to kind of practice safe data transfer, or whatever you want to call it.
Practice safe charging.
Practice safe charging. Yes, that's the way it should be. But our phones, as far as I can tell, at least on Android with Marshmallow and newer, will default to charge only when you plug it in. On iOS, when you plug it in, you can tell me if this is the way your device works. When you plug it into a computer that you've never plugged it in before, you should get a prompt that says, do you trust this computer?
Yeah, yes.
And if you don't, then it's basically cutting off the data transfer that could happen in that case, and it's a power-only transfer. So there are protections already built into phones to hopefully protect against this sort of thing. I don't know how effective they are in comparison, though. I'm very curious to know the answer to that. I couldn't find it out before the show.
So, like, what if I'm at the airport and I see a stray USB? Should I stick my device in there or not?
I don't know if you want to listen to me, because no matter what, I just don't do that. But I mean, as far as what I could find out, as far as this behavior of the OS, that's what this is designed to do, right? It defaults to power only. And if it's cutting off the data flow, then you should be okay if you're on a newer device, newish device anyways. Marshmallow was just a couple of years ago. So
and
it was last year.
This isn't going to protect you if you are putting stray USB devices into your computer. You don't want to do that. Like the ones that you find on the ground or whatever. What's this? I'm going to try it out.
What's this? Oh, what a great idea. I'm just going to throw this everywhere I can and
don't
see
do that.
What I end up with.
Because like you go to conferences and stuff, and that's where people put like their press kits now. Like they're on like, here's a little toy with a a USB.
You see
and
a lot less of those now, though.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why is because you can't always trust them. And
right.
What a poor way to get your message out than giving people something that like immediately your brand association is connected with. Can I trust this device you gave me? So yeah, you don't see that as much anymore. That's probably the reason why.
So the USB condoms are only $5.50. I mean,
yeah. You get one, throw it in your backpack. You're always protected, no matter what scenario you find yourself into. Google is one of many tech companies heavily involved in getting people to vote in the U.S. election that takes place tomorrow. It's November the 8th. Go out and vote. In its pursuit to organize the world's information, Google announced that search queries for election results, very nice. will be presented with a highly organized view of those results within search that's updated every 30 seconds once those polls close. The tool will track all major races all the way down to state-level referenda and ballot propositions. Google also plans to live stream election news on YouTube thanks to a host of channels offering coverage, NBC, PBS, Bloomberg, and a whole bunch of others. But I think this looks really great. And I mean, this isn't the first time that Google's done this. They usually kind of surface this information. I'm particularly excited about this because tomorrow's my long day at work. And I guess that's good because this whole lead up to the election has really stressed me out. So I can distract myself with work. And when I need to, I can dip into Google and find the results.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been an election where I've been reminded to vote so often. Like every social media, I'm tired of it. Go vote.
Yes. Might be tired of hearing it, but man, some people apparently really need the reminder. Go do it.
I mean, I know this is going to be controversial, but I still think you should get the day off. Like everybody should get the day off.
I would agree. Completely.
And I mean, I think that's what, that's why voting beforehand is good. Like if you know you can't get the day off of work, then, hopefully you already voted. If not, sorry.
It's too bad not everybody realizes the benefit of absentee voting. Like, it's awesome. You get it in the mail like a month beforehand. You do it at your leisure. You drop it in the mail. You're done. You move on with your life. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Well, I think
everybody should do that. Is there a reason why not everybody does that?
I don't do it because I like going there. Like I like participating. But I'm lucky to have a job. Like if I told Leo, like I need to not do, I can't be here until a certain time. He would be like, good, don't go vote. Like, but not everybody has that situation in their job at all. I like to go there. I like to participate.
You like to get the I voted sticker.
I do.
Yeah. That's one thing I don't get tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, some people got theirs mailed. Like Tom Merritt got his mailed in his absentee ballot.
It might be hanging out in the mailbox at home right now. And if so, that's the only way that I'll get it in time before tomorrow.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I understand wanting, and also like sometimes there's the fear of like my vote won't get counted,
that is true. Yeah. Because most of the time I'll do absentee and then I go to the polling place to drop it off. This time I mailed it, but that thought did cross my mind. Is it going to get there in time? Or you know what I mean? It's a little bit of detachment from the actual event. I think that's what you're talking about exactly. Up next, Android Auto gets what could be its biggest expansion yet. But first, let's take a minute to thank Blue Apron. They're the sponsor of this episode. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone while supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, building a community of home chefs. And you are one of those home chefs. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with fresh, high-quality ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients that can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. You're going to save time and money. Shopping at the grocery store is 60% more expensive than Blue Apron, especially if you spend a lot eating out or you shop at high-end grocery chains. You can now spend under $10 per person for healthy home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. Customize your recipes every week based on your dietary preferences. You can also choose a delivery option that fits your needs. There's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Blue Apron delivers to 99% of the continental U.S. and sets the highest quality standards for their community of over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the U.S. Seafood is sourced sustainably, beef's raised humanely, pork are raised naturally, and regenerative farming practices are used for produce. By shipping the exact amount required for the recipe, Blue Apron is reducing food waste. Whether it's Japanese ramen noodles, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, or heirloom tomatoes, Blue Apron's always bringing you the very best. Blue Apron not only supports a more sustainable food system, it supports happy and healthy families. Cooking together builds strong family bonds, and research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often. New recipes always created every week by Blue Apron's culinary team, and they are not repeated within the year, so that keeps it super fresh. Pan-seared chicken with roasted fall vegetables and butter caper sauce. There's spicy lotus root and purple carrot stir fry with sweet potato noodles. That's just a few. You should go to the site, check out this week's menu on the site, and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/twit. You're going to love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. Visit blueapron.com/twit. And we thank Blue Apron for their support of Tech News Today. All right, so Google is finally pushing out a big update to its car-focused layer of Android Auto. Joining us to talk about some of the new features is Tim Stevens from CNet Roadshow. How's it going, Tim?
Great. How are you doing, Jason?
Doing awesome. Great to have you here. Perfect story for you. So before everything else, explain why Android Auto and apps like this or systems like this are good for drivers.
So the basic idea with Android Auto is that you plug your smart car. It's a compatible car, and then basically your phone kind of takes over the central dashboard system in your car. So where the navigation system would be, basically your phone takes over that. So now you have Google Maps and also integration with a lot of the Google Smart Assistant stuff. So you can very easily say things like, give me navigation home or call my wife, that kind of thing. And the phone will kind of figure it out and take care of all that for you. Plus, developers who write Android apps can write extensions to their apps that will enable them to run within this Android Auto framework, so they'll be able to be run within the car. The big drawback has always been that you need to have a compatible car to make it work, but finally, as of today anyway, that's no longer the case.
Yeah, so they've got a version 2.0. That's what they released today. What exactly do users get with the update? I mean, this is, by the way, this is an update that when I first saw this at Google I/O, I was like, why do you not launch with compatibility for the phones? Immediately, you have like the biggest user base for this thing ever if you do that. It took them a long enough time, though. What do you get?
Yeah, they said that was the most asked for enhancement basically for the system, and certainly it makes sense. So basically now, instead of having to plug it into your car and run it within your car itself, you can actually run the full interface right on your phone directly. So you get access to all the same power, all the same compatibility, but running on your phone in a more distraction-free way. So, if you're running Google Maps on your phone, for example, getting navigation from A to B, and you get a text message from someone, that'll kind of pop up on your screen. Or if you have, let's say, a comment on a Facebook comment, that kind of thing, you'll see a notification at the top. And those are sort of things that are tempting you to reach down and touch your phone when you're driving, which you absolutely shouldn't do, of course. Yeah. With Android Auto, it suppresses all those notifications. And some apps that are compatible with Android Auto, you can actually do those interactions in a safe way, even just by your voice. So being able to do that on your phone takes care of that responsibility or that requirement for having a compatible car. But the problem is it's not necessarily legal still in all states to be using this system, because most states have bans against even touching your phone while you're driving. And so while you can bring up the Android Auto interface and use it via voice, reaching down and touching to switch to, say, the Spotify app, change a playlist, that kind of thing, that may or may not be legal. That depends on your state. You'd have to check your local laws.
So you can't use OK Google. Sorry to set off people's phones. You can't use that. You can't use that.
That's okay.
In Android Auto yet, right? But that's coming.
Right. Yeah, I was told that it's coming within a few weeks. Honestly, I think they maybe should have just waited and held off this release until they had that baked in there. But once you have that, at that point, you can do a lot of this stuff using just your voice. So even if you are in a state where you can't even touch your phone, you can at that point toggle Spotify playlists. You can get navigation by voice just by saying, "Okay, Google, take me to wherever," which is great. Unfortunately, though, that's not quite there just yet. It should be soon.
And so one of the biggest complaints about the Google Home is that you can only use one account. So people were complaining that, like, my calendar, my email, like it's, more than one person is often in the car. Will that be the same, do you know, with Android Auto? Or will you be able to switch back and forth between like your work and your personal account?
It's definitely tied to one account and one person, but it's whatever's on your phone. So if you have multiple Hangouts accounts or multiple Gmail accounts, for example, coming through, or multiple even phone numbers, if you have a Google Voice number, for example, plus your local cell phone number, all that will get routed through Android Auto. So whatever's coming through on your phone will get passed through Android Auto. And since it's on a phone-by-phone basis, if indeed people are sharing the car, you just plug in your phone to the car, and it's whoever's driving will basically take over at that point.
Now, we also, at Google I/O, I believe they kind of showed off that Waze was coming, but we're not getting Waze yet. Waze is still incompatible, right?
No, unfortunately not. That's definitely been one thing that we've been really eager to see because, with the Google acquisition, of course, it seemed like a real natural thing. They'd want to plug that into Android Auto, but as of yet, it's not quite there. I did hear that they're testing it internally and dogfooding it, as it were, and apparently it's quite good. But no, it's not quite available yet. Again, I was told that should be very soon, hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah, that would be nice. So, in your experience, I mean, you've played around with a lot of these kind of in-car setups, and Android Auto is just one of many. How does it stack up to the competitors? Like, is it a really good alternative? Obviously, it's great for Android users, but just in general.
Yeah, I think Android Auto is quite good. Android Auto and CarPlay are the two that are getting the most buzz at this point. There are, of course, dozens and dozens of other platforms out there. But when it comes from a developer standpoint, and having my developer roots, I tend to think of where can you cover the most bases most easily. And by supporting Android Auto and CarPlay, you actually have the ability to get into a lot of cars, whereas before there were a lot of different proprietary systems. Each manufacturer had their own. And in many cases, each manufacturer had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different app platforms to support. So if you're a developer, if you're a Spotify or a Pandora, it certainly makes sense to target these systems. And the interfaces on them are getting to be quite good. They are distraction free. Again, they suppress a lot of those notifications, so you don't have to worry about having lots of things flashing up at you as you're driving, trying to pull your attention away from driving. And you get a lot of the power of your phone while you're driving, which is good too. So you can, again, respond to text messages by voice, get navigation. And since they're tied into your calendar, oftentimes they pretty much know where you need to go before you even get in the car, which is great too.
Sure.
I think Android Auto and CarPlay are both, they're very, very comparable. But now that you can run Android Auto right on your phone, that definitely gives it a big advantage, in my opinion.
So is Android Auto just a little bit safer than just using your phone? And I wonder if people will use it, because I know what we say we want to do and what we actually do in practice when we hear, when we think we're expecting a text message, are different. So do you think that before there's, voice activation, before there's ways, people are going to use it? Or do you think that people are going to prefer just to take their chances?
I hope that people do. I think in large part it's going to depend on what apps people are using. For me, Android Auto works great because if I'm in the car, I'm either listening to Spotify or I'm listening to a podcast on BeyondPod. And both Spotify and BeyondPod have Android Auto interfaces now, and it's actually a lot easier to use those apps in the car or even just in general through that Android Auto interface, and you can do so by voice as well. So it's just a lot easier to use those apps and certainly a lot more convenient to do so. And the navigation interface, you're really not giving up anything versus running Google Maps outside of Android Auto there. So just having this really nice, clean interface and ultimately the greater power of voice recognition, which still needs to be improved a bit, that to me means that I think there's actually an advantage in using this system. And beyond that, again, it kind of kills that temptation. I think that we all know that we shouldn't be doing these things when we're driving, and certainly, I've vouched to give up on that, and I hope a lot of other people have as well. But this sort of gets rid of a lot of the temptation because you don't see that Facebook notification, you don't see that tweet message up top of your phone. That's all hidden in the background, so you can kind of drive in blissful ignorance and then check in when you get to wherever you go.
I think that's the key right there, right? Like I have an app called Agent, and it works kind of behind the scenes the second my phone detects that I'm driving to basically hide those notifications. I don't even know that they came through until I get to where I'm going. And if I don't see it, I'm not tempted to do anything about it. I just continue on listening to my podcast and get to where I'm going. So the fact that it hides that from you, it's like it's protecting you from yourself. And I like anything that does that.
Definitely.
I need protecting. Tim Stevens, thanks as always for joining us. CNet Roadshow, where can people go to follow all your work online?
Stevens, and definitely check us out at theroadshow.com. We have the LA Auto Show coming up next week, so you want to check in for all the news coming up there.
Cool. It cut out a little bit, but I'm going to say at Tim_Stevens on Twitter. Thanks again, Tim. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
So thank you to all of the fans who weighed in on our serious conversation.
This is serious.
Our correlation versus causation questions about MacBooks, Android phones, and pizza from Friday.
I'm really happy we asked the important questions on Friday's show.
We really did.
Yeah.
Because my big thing was, how many people use Android phones with MacBooks? And I think I actually said that in the U.S. more people use iPhones than Android phones, and that's not true. I'm pretty sure even in the U.S. more people use Android phones. I don't base that on counting all the people who sent me that, but I do think that that I was wrong to say there are more iPhone users in the U.S. And also I said that I felt that Android users were more likely to eat deep dish pizza. And I do appreciate all of the people who commented that deep dish pizza is not pizza, it's casserole.
It's casserole. I saw a lot of that.
I agree
it's not
with
pizza,
you.
It's casserole. Well, it's good casserole, and it's influenced by pizza. I don't care. It's got all the same stuff.
Too many carbs. Jonathan Annett threw everything off with this email. He says, I have an Android phone and a Windows phone. What? Though I mainly use Android, but the iPhone for email, and I much prefer a shawarma kebab to a pizza any day.
I don't understand. So he's got 3 phones, basically?
I guess so. And shawarma
a shawarma kebab. I mean, shawarma kebab is pretty good.
Yeah.
But, they're different food categories entirely. You can love them both. It's okay.
It's true. Yeah. AV Design says all iPhone, all Apple, all Mac, all pan pizza. Eric
Erica
Trandom. Erica
go.
Trandom instead of Eric A. Trandom says Android and New York thin crust, not the pizza flavored casserole. And Jason Wynn says any pizza is good with this Android user.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Eric at random.
Ah, that makes more sense. Thank you, Bert.
At random.
That word could really be a million different things.
I like Erica Trandom too. Thanks, Erica. After the break, Kerry Davis is here to talk about all the tech news that you might have missed. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the sponsor of this episode. The home buying experience is fraught with terror. Getting the right mortgage should not be. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage out of the equation. Hate searching through stacks of old files and paperwork? With Rocket Mortgage, you can easily share your bank statements and your pay stubs at the touch of a button, helping you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's been tailored to your unique financial situation. Even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this on your phone or your tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com. Don't forget the /TNT, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. We aim to cover all of the tech news. Sometimes the most important stuff slips through the cracks. So we welcome Kerry Davis, host of the Engadget show, in case you missed it. Welcome back, Kerry.
Hey, Megan.
So first, tell us about MyVR. It's a new Sims-like social network that you can access with Google Cardboard.
Yeah, I had some feels about this one. So because it is very much Sims-like. And so I had a friend that was kind of obsessed with this back in the day in undergrad, and that's what this is. This is the new frontier in social networks. It's VR. So basically you build this room and sort of set it up where like the TV is really like watching Hulu or Netflix, whatever you like to do. And the computer desk might have like Instagram or whatever. And so it makes all these little regions out of a room. And then you invite friends over. And for now, it's only in Google Cardboard. It will be available soon enough in Gear VR. I kind of get it. I get that this is a trend, but can I be real with you? I'm just worried that people will use it to watch porn.
Would you say invite friends over? How do you mean?
You know, it's just been released, and I don't have Google Cardboard, so I've not been able to try it out myself. But basically, it's a social network. So like anything else, it's kind of app and computer based. You can, find other people who are interested in what you're interested in.
Oh, my goodness. I did not see that curveball coming.
I'm sorry. That's all I could think while I was writing it. I'm like, oh, no.
So does one person put up the video or the content, and then everybody else watches that? If so, I could see that having like copyright issues.
Good point. My thinking on it is that if you have a login to Hulu and Netflix, whatever, you can kind of share it and you watch it in this tiny little TV within your room. Those people I like right now, you're playing the video and it's these three people standing there talking like you would virtually. And then the girl goes, oh, wait, this is my favorite song. And they all laugh. And I'm like, oh, my God. Do we need VR rooms for that?
So I can't remember when it was. It was probably like 5 or 6 months ago. There was a new app that launched, very similar in some ways to what you're talking about, called V-Time. Oh, yeah. Where it was a virtual reality thing, app where you had all of these different scenarios. Were you on a plane? Were you sitting on a rock overlooking like a sunset or whatever? And you and 3 other people who are connected to the room at the same time sit in like a circle and you chat with each other, right? And it's your digital, it's your virtual avatar, but it's your audio coming from. Yeah, this is it. This is connecting anyways. And it was very strange. Like it felt, in some ways it felt like the future, and in some ways it freaked me out.
It's a sharing circle. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And, it detected when you're talking, and so your avatar mouth would move. It would kind of move its hands around like in normal. So this seems like maybe the next iteration of this sort of thing. I don't know. I don't know whether to love it or hate it.
I know. I feel confused too. And for people who love VR, they're probably definitely excited about this. For me, it all feels a bit early, but same deal with this my web room iteration is that you can share audio. So you can talk about things as you watch or listen or view. And I can see that being interesting to people, just maybe not me just yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like here we do a pretty good job of covering the whole creepy robot landscape, but we totally missed this. The big eye. The big eye.
We were terrified. Yeah, it looks like, I feel like I'm hating on everything, but so be it. It looks like a giant sort of just garbage bin sort of on wheels rolling around. And the worst part is the huge eye. So it's obviously a prototype, right? So when you watch the video and the eye opens, it's like the eye of Sauron meets something very severe, right? I'm glad you had that reaction. But anyways, it is. So there are a couple already sort of in-home robots out on the market. There's Pepper, there's Buddy. I kind of find them all adorable. I actually really like robots. This one, I think I just don't like the eye, but it has 3D vision, motion capture, facial recognition. So what the idea of the Kickstarter video is, they say like, hey, go see if Joey's still sleeping and wake him, play some music if he's not awake. And then it rolls in, it sees, it just looks so creepy. It sees the kid is still sleeping. It plays music, and you can sort of interact with it like that. Right now, it's still on Kickstarter. It's, I think, $750 to get on board. It's, it's going to be first generation, all these things. But the thing that I'm more interested in is this is like the third, maybe the fourth home robot we've covered in the last year or so. So they're clearly here to stay.
It's a category. That's when things get scary, is when it's a category. It's a whole section of a catalog. I really like this scene where it says, if you see me in the living room after noon, please remind me that it's time to work out. Meanwhile, she's on the couch with a laptop on her lap. It's like, that really could have been so much more effective if it was like a screen notification, on-screen notification, instead of the robot having to come in and remind.
That's an Apple Watch or whatever situation, right?
Yes.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So on the Kickstarter page, it has the boy like drawing all over it. Is it like you can customize it? Like he made it into like an R2-D2 or something?
Yeah, I saw that too. I think they just put paper over it and they're like, look, it's so friendly. Your child can draw on it. Like, it isn't terrifying that it's a giant scary eye.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's all.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, so
We'll see if it happens.
it's a garbage can looking robot with a giant eye, but at least it doesn't sweat.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Some robots do.
Robots don't sweat. Wait,
this
what?
This is actually the future. Exactly. So, of course, from Japan, some researchers have built this robot that has 180 motors, and it's actually really glorious. It is very much in a human shape. In any case, they 3D printed the bones, and they realized that to help it cool itself down, because it has all those tiny little micromotors, the bones have tiny pores in them, and this thing can sweat all on its own, just sweating. And it can do, they brag, 11 minutes of push-ups without a break, which is rude because I can't probably do a minute worth. I'm just going to out myself. So anyways, the robots are amazing. And so is Japan, of course.
So the sweating helps it do more push-ups?
Yeah, but so normally all those tiny little, help me, motors they overheat. They overheat so quickly. And so if it can sort of cool itself without having a cooling system on board, then it can do even more. So this thing is basically, I think it uses like a cup of desalinated water in the whole system. And then the tiny little pores just let out the water and it cools itself. It evaporates. Hey, presto, they will kill us all.
So do you have to like fill it up with water from time to time? Like, here's your water injection, robot.
And it's like, thank you, human. I won't kill you today. I have a fascination with these, especially this robot is pretty intense looking.
Yeah.
I wish it would sweat if it was nervous. So like we could know if it was about to kill us, right? Because that's what you do. Like if you're going to take over, you'd be a little nervous. And
not if you're a robot.
Yeah, it's true.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tuesday, tomorrow, if you're watching this on Monday, is Election Day. The New York Times, which I also learned from you, is outside of its paywall during the election couple of days, so you can read whatever you want from them for free. They also have a game modeled after the Oregon Trail called the Voter Suppression Trail. Tell us about that.
Okay, first of all, I am still obsessed with the Oregon Trail, and I have no shame. You guys?
It's a great game.
No shame.
Right. Oh, good.
Yeah,
so
good.
my my theory, by the way, on winning Oregon Trail is just name everyone in your wagon party after exes, and then you don't care if they die. You're like, whatever, Patrick, you always sucked. Die. If you still make it, it's fine. Anyway, so they came out with this thing, the Voter Suppression Trail. You could click to play. It's a little sad, but you have 3 options. You can either be a black man in Michigan, a Latina woman, I think, in Texas, and a white guy, a white programmer in California. And then you have to test to see how long it takes to actually vote. And so I played as everyone. The Latina nurse, yeah. My kids were calling, they were sick. The nurse thinks I'm like, nope. You just keep like, I'm staying in line. And you sort of on average, basically they took all this data, averaged it and how long it takes to wait in each place and the problems that they face, like the poll workers don't know how to use it, yada, yada. So it's really eye-opening. And of course, the programmer here holding his freaking latte, he has no problem at all voting. He's out in a minute.
I'll just go in there and do my vote. What's so difficult about this?
Why is everyone complaining?
So what you're saying, Kerry, is that no matter how many times Google tells me to vote, if my kids call me and tell me they're sick on the way to me voting, it's not that Google telling me to vote is not going to help me at all.
Apparently not. Although I kept saying like, ignore, whatever. And then, as the guy from Michigan, it was your boss called and said, you're going to be docked pay and your coworker is sick. He has dysentery. We go in. And I said, no. And then the pop-up said, your coworker is now mad at you. It's funny to play. You should play it.
I know everybody has dysentery in this. My kid, when he called from the nurse's office, had dysentery. That was how I had to go, pull him from school. So
yeah. And so you make the choice. Do you want to vote more or go be a parent? You decide.
Right.
Yeah. So we should all vote tomorrow. I think that's the moral of the story.
Yes, no matter what. Kerry, thank you so much for joining us and finding all these stories. If people want to watch you, I listen to you on my Amazon Echo, so I should tell people that they can do that. I don't know if people do that. I mean, you're better.
I don't know that. Thank you.
You're better watched than listened, but if people only can listen, you're part of the Amazon Echo Flash briefing. But how can people watch you?
Yes, thank you for filling me in. I had no idea. You can go to Engadget.com nearly every day. The daily show that I host, in case you missed it, is at the top. Otherwise, Engadget video, you'll find it. YouTube, you'll find it. Sometimes if my husband misses a bunch, he goes to YouTube and kind of watches a few. So it's an easy way to catch up. But yeah, please watch. And we have a new show coming soon. I'll be in touch about that.
Oh,
excellent. Let us know.
I will.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kerry. Have a great night. All right, TNT's fan of the day is this guy. You may have heard him. His name's Alex Gumpel. He was our technical director on Friday. It's a role he fills once, maybe every 3, 4, 5 months or so. And he took a picture from the TD desk. Seems to have captured a particularly tense moment between Megan and I. We're like, there's no smiles going on right here.
Such an angry face. I don't even recognize that face of mine. And you're baring your teeth at me.
I don't know what we were talking about, but I really want to know.
Probably you were talking about how you like deep dish pizza, because I disagree with that so much.
You were like, you were hating on deep dish. And I was like, everything I could take with a smile. But that's you've crossed the line, Megan. That's probably what that was. No, that didn't really happen. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we will find it. Coming up, even fish aren't safe from Alexa. But first, let's take a minute to thank LinkedIn Learning. They're the sponsor of this episode, LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com. In fact, the shelf life of skills is less than 5 years, and many of today's fastest growing categories did not exist 5 years ago. LinkedIn acquired lynda.com to bring you LinkedIn Learning. It's personalized, expert-led, on-demand e-learning from LinkedIn. LinkedIn Learning will identify the precise skills you or your organization needs to achieve set goals and will create personalized recommendations using LinkedIn Network Intelligence. Administrators are able to track learner adoption and engagement with at-a-glance analytics and downloadable reports. You'll have access to more than 9,000 courses taught by world-class industry experts. Whether you're interested in web design, IT infrastructure, business management, marketing, there's so many categories. Their library offers a wide range of business, creative, and technology courses. More than 25 courses are added every single week, such as iOS 10 App Development Essentials, There's Learning Photoshop Elements 15. Topics include technical recruiting, strategic HR, small business marketing fundamentals, media training, inside sales, iOS game development, video editing, and so much more. You'll learn anytime, anywhere, with segments that can be viewed on any device, online or offline. LinkedIn Learning accommodates all learning styles, so you can read course transcripts and closed captions. You can watch video tutorials. You can listen on the go. They have bite-sized videos that provide immediate problem solving and are the perfect way to brush up on relevant skills without interrupting your latest project. Team solutions are actually available for as low as $2,000 per year. Grow your network and your career. Visit learning.linkedin.com/twit to get a free individual trial or request a demo for your organization. That's learning.linkedin.com/twit. And we thank LinkedIn Learning for their support of Tech News Today.
Thanks to Dale Kernan, who sent us this article about a developer named Brian Kane who hacked his big mouth Billy Bass and turned it into an Amazon Echo. I think we can take a look or listen to the video.
What's the weather?
Currently, in Cambridge, it's 45 degrees with showers. Tonight, you can look for rainy weather with a low of 43 degrees.
You really have to watch that because otherwise
it just sounds like an echo.
Yeah, but this is the Billy Bass. If you're not familiar with the big mouth Billy Bass, it is a plastic fish made famous maybe in the late 90s. I had one.
Somewhere. I did not.
I wish I still had mine.
I've seen many at garage sales in the past.
Yeah, so it was on a plaque.
Although maybe not now. Now there's probably a collector's item. I don't know, but.
It was a fish trophy. It was like when you put a fish on the wall, it played Take Me to the River or Don't Worry, Be Happy. And we also, if you're watching the video, you will now see Patrick Norton smashing the big mouth Billy Bass.
What's that for?
Because it was annoying.
Oh.
And then also it had been hacked. We hacked it on the screensavers. I don't even really remember what I know what it said.
It's really annoying. It is really annoying.
Everyone seems to think this thing is so dang annoying.
It is, because every time you press the button, it would sing Don't Worry, Be Happy or Take Me to the River. But they hacked it to say Patrick and Leo are kings.
So it seems like if kids, because I really like the big mouth Billy Bass with Amazon Echo built in. If kids can make a living or people can make a living modding game consoles and then selling them on Craigslist, legitimately in many cases, I'm imagining one person could probably make a pretty good living modding these for Amazon Echo and selling them. Mm-hmm. If people aren't doing that already. That's probably a bad advice, but I'm just saying. People would pay money for this.
Yeah.
Maybe Amazon should make it.
I don't know.
This should be the step lower than the dot. Should be the Big Bass, whatever his name is.
Big
cool.
Mouth Billy Bass.
There we go.
That's
Thank you.
name.
There's 4 words. How am I going to remember 4 words? This is hard, people. That's it. That's all I got. I'm sure. Do you have anything else about Big Mouth Billy?
No,
Bob?
it's the fact that you never had one. That's why you don't find it annoying.
Yeah. No, I never. Yeah. I mean, I saw them in stores and I'm sure I pressed the buttons
right.
and then, the people that work there were annoyed.
Yeah.
TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can always be part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. Of course, you can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW, and you can find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
Wish your friends a Merry Twitmas with our very own ugly Christmas sweater design. We're offering this exclusive design for a limited time. It is beautiful. Grab yours before November 23rd at teespring.com/Twitmas. That's TWITMAS. And don't forget to subscribe to our show. You can find all the ways at twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to tweet at me about your love or hatred of the big mouth Billy Bass, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian, behind the controls. Thanks to Burke for scrolling words and helping out and everything with the show. Thanks to Kevin for editing and making us look good day after day. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.